This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, April 1st. Yeah, it's that day, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on the context of those stories, and help each other understand.
Today, Chris Ashley tells us about barbecue tech and more from your emails.
I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Shannon Morse.
I promise we aren't going to April Fool's you. Let's start off with what you need to know with the big story. Just kidding. No, actually, I'm serious. There's no April Fool's jokes, as far as I know, unless Shannon has a surprise today. OpenAI announced it has closed a $40 billion, capital B, $1 funding round, the largest private tech deal to date, valuing the company at $300 billion. It's led by SoftBank, supported by Microsoft and others. More than half of that investment is headed to the company's Stargate infrastructure project. That's in an effort to build more AI data centers across the country. SoftBank, who leads the round with $30 billion of investment, updated the disclosure to announce that funding could be cut to as low as $20 billion if OpenAI is unable to restructure itself to a for-profit entity by the end of 2025, which OpenAI is definitely in the midst of right now. And I wonder how on par or easily attainable that is by the end of the year. I guess we'll find out. To highlight the company's rapid growth, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, shared on X that ChatGPT gained 1 million users in its first 5 days over 2 years ago. So 5 days to 1 million users. He added that just in the hour before his tweet, the platform had gained another million new users. So OpenAI, if you hadn't heard, Shannon, kind of a big deal. What do you think about this? $40 billion funding round. This is the largest to date. Could you even imagine if this was ever topped? Like, who could top that and win?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I have no idea who would be able to fund even more than that. That's ridiculous. But that really gives us a mindset of how huge OpenAI is, how fast it's growing. And given that they most recently had published about the new updated image generation. And there was a ton of talk around that because they were able to generate like Studio Ghibli-esque AI art, which I have personal feelings about, of course, but this was a huge reason why they recently went viral and gained so many new subscribers. And I'm sure a ton of those new subscribers are also purchasing it as opposed to just signing up for the free version as well. So this is a big, big deal.
I mean, yeah, big deal to say the least. And I mean, $40 billion funding round. Maybe $30 billion if they can't convert to, the restructure to for-profit entity, which, I mean, I'd be really surprised if that was, not attainable. I just don't know about the deadline of 2025. One thing that came up for me on this is the whole Stargate aspect of this. And, essentially, Stargate as a project is about raising the amount of compute across the country. This idea that AI is so much better if we can just throw massive, almost unconscionable amounts of compute at the task, and that's going to solve all the real challenges and struggles of AI, things like hallucinations and everything. But This is happening at a time when a lot of people are actually questioning whether raw compute power actually solves those problems. So that makes me think okay, well, if a lot of this funding is going towards that, is that barking up the wrong tree potentially? Right.
That's a good point. And I also had an additional comment on the Stargate infrastructure. This is apparently being built. The first one is supposed to be installed in Texas. They're supposed to be building additional infrastructure for AI data centers across America, across the United States. So one of the big concerns that they have quoted is security and privacy and building this infrastructure around the American economy, yada, yada, yada. But honestly, I can't help but see the word Stargate and think it's 2025 and discuss the fact that how did they come up with it? Are they actually going to be building Stargates? Science fiction Stargates?
I mean, when you've got a $40 billion funding round and you're valued at $300 billion, I would imagine you've got at least a chunk to get started on an actual Stargate.
Maybe
if there's a company that exists right now that might have the resources to do that, hey, OpenAI is near the top of that list. I don't know who else, SpaceX? I don't know. I think
jokes
this is
aside.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Jokes aside, it's definitely a really interesting project, and this is going to be something that we're going to be discussing a lot this year, I have a feeling.
Yeah, just worth noting real quick before we move on. Prior to this, the largest private funding deal was Ant Group's $14 billion raise in 2018. Before that,
Wow.
Jewel Labs, $12.8 billion. That was in 2018 as well. This easily 3X's the previous milestone. So, and I remember however many years ago when Instagram, was acquired for $1 billion. And I remember when that happened, we're talking like 15 years ago, I'm guessing off the top of my head at this point. But I remember when that happened, just going, oh my goodness, that is, that was the largest amount, I think, at the time. And it was just unfathomable to me that we had reached the point to where the numbers were working at such great of a magnitude. And yet here we are many years later. I mean, this is just ridiculous amounts of money that we're talking about on a single fundraising round. That's just incredible.
A single fundraising round. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm sure that we'll have updates to further this story along, and hopefully we will see some Stargates built. Daily Tech News Show is made possible by its listeners. Thank you so much to everyone, including Jeff Wilkes, Pele Glendale, and Tim Deputy, and our newest Patreon supporter, Miss OP.
Boom! Welcome to the community, Miss OP. Thank you all.
Yay!
All right, there's more we need to know today. Let's get right to the briefs.
Okay, a new Gmail beta feature enables encrypted message support to any inbox with a new encryption model that does not rely on the use of custom software or encryption certificate exchange. A new, quote, additional encryption, that's what it's called, a toggle, will appear in the Compose interface that, once enabled, will force the non-Gmail recipient to sign into a guest workspace account for secure viewing and response. Google Enterprise users will be first to gain access to the new feature, which is set to expand to all Gmail accounts in the coming weeks.
So, yeah, a secure option that doesn't require extra software. Probably important to note, not end-to-end encrypted, right?
Right.
That's not quite satisfying that kind of elevated requirement, but still very good to have that embedded in and a new option. I like it.
Yes, I agree.
Apple has released iOS 18.4 and iPad 18.4, bringing priority notifications to Apple Intelligence-capable devices. There's also a new food-focused section in Apple News Plus for all you foodies. Ambient music for music playback from Control Center that you can trigger at any time. And there are plenty more features. You can see the changelog to see what's there. Apple Vision Pro is a new standalone app that offers device information, update access, tips, content discovery for the Apple headset. And then Apple also released Vision OS 2.4 for the Apple Vision Pro. That includes a new spatial gallery app that has spatial videos, photos, and panoramas, all curated by Apple.
Ooh, sounds like all nice updates around.
Yeah, especially if you like spatialized content, which is just so cool to look
absolutely.
at through the Apple Vision Pro.
A big update from Microsoft Copilot Plus PCs with Intel and AMD chips is bringing new features that were previously exclusive to Snapdragon-powered laptops like the Surface Pro 11. Live captions, Co-Creator, Restyle Image, and Image Creator are on the way for AMD Ryzen AI 300 series and Intel Core Ultra 200V series laptops. Snapdragon X machines still have a leg up, though, with a new voice access feature exclusive to the chip and plans for release to other chip architectures later this year.
Yeah, this cleans things up a little bit, but there's still a little bit of that kind of fragmentation between, is that a bad word? I know it is in the Android world.
No, I think that makes sense. In this context, that definitely makes sense. And there is a little bit of confusion when it comes to these consumer laptops in terms of what access you have to these different perks and features. So this will help, definitely.
Yeah, you want to hopefully, level out the playing field so everybody's playing the same game together. The U.S. president signed an executive order establishing the United States Investment Accelerator. It's a new office within the Commerce Department tasked with overseeing investments exceeding $1 billion, also administering funds from the CHIPS and Science Act. The stated goal is to streamline regulation, speed up permitting for domestic chip manufacturing, and ultimately alleviate supply chain disruptions in the U.S. that have previously led to shortages of goods like cars and consumer electronics.
Substack is getting into the scrollable videos game just in time to benefit from a potential TikTok ban in the U.S. Yes, there's a second looming TikTok ban. TLDR, the new scrollable video feed replaces the media tab that was introduced last year, and it can support videos up to 10 minutes in length. The company plans to bring long-form video and podcast previews to the feed in the near future.
All right. So Shannon, you and I, we both consider ourselves content creators, throwing content around all the different platforms. And oh my goodness, are there so many platforms to support? Do you have plans or interest in throwing some of that video content onto Substack?
I have been uploading to so many different platforms at this point that another one will make me go crazy. So probably not. I'll focus on where I know that I've been successful. Somewhat. Fair. So yeah, I'll keep doing the thing that I know.
There you go. I like that attitude. I think that makes a lot of sense for me too. Samsung, although I will say before we move on, anytime a new platform introduces something like this, there is kind of built into that the opportunity to get in early and ride any sort of wave that it might take off. So it might be smart to just kind of play around with it and see. I am still undecided. Oh, okay. Samsung Electronics has announced major leadership changes following the sudden death of co-CEO Han Zhonghee, who was a pivotal force in advancing the company's AI and mobile strategies. TM Rowe, who's head of Samsung's mobile experience division, has been appointed acting head of the device experience division, which oversees mobile and consumer electronics until a permanent successor is named. Mauro Porcini, a globally renowned designer formerly with PepsiCo, has joined as president and chief design officer. This is Samsung's first appointment of a foreign design chief.
Oh man. Well, whoever joins, I hope that they bring us a stylus in the foldables. That would be cool.
Yeah, that's a big big mess that they got to undo there.
Oh, and bring back the Bluetooth capabilities for the stylus.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, at least the Bluetooth in the stylus. Come on.
No, but our hearts are with his family.
Yes.
Microsoft utilized its AI-powered security co-pilot to uncover 20 previously unknown vulnerabilities in Grub 2, U-Boot, and Bearbox bootloaders, critical components of Linux systems, embedded devices, and IoT platforms. Flaws included buffer overflows, integer overflows, and a cryptographic side channel attack that could be used for device takeovers by hackers. Fixes for these bugs were released in February of 2025.
Microsoft flexing our AI can catch vulnerabilities better than your AI. Muscle.
So this isn't the first time I've seen bootloader attacks. It's pretty common. We've seen that before in Linux systems and different distros for Linux as well. So not a new thing, but it is pretty cool that their security copilot AI powered feature has been able to determine and uncover these. That's pretty cool.
Super cool. Yeah, agreed. Intel's new CEO, Lip Bhutan, announced plans to spin off Intel's non-core business units to focus on its main strengths, CPU design and chip manufacturing, while also developing new products like custom semiconductors that are tailored to the needs of its customers, of course. Tan acknowledged at the Intel Vision conference this week that the company has lagged behind competitors in innovation, in customer satisfaction, but clarified that Intel will remain intact while addressing its challenges as it seeks to regain its competitiveness in these areas, AI, data center chips, that sort of stuff.
Ooh, that's exciting. Very interesting. Now, those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the ongoing stories and follow up.
Yeah, let's do that. Chris Ashley not only hosts Barbecue and Tech, or BBQ and Tech, depending on how you refer to it, but also runs an actual food truck using tech to help him serve people that delicious barbecue. So we thought we should catch up with him and find out what tech he's using in the food truck right now.
Chris, thanks for joining me, man.
Man, thank you for being famous and having your fans come to my truck and eat.
Oh, we had a great time. Chris dialed me up when a DTNS listener showed up at the truck. We got to chat. That was really fun, man. Thanks for doing that.
No, thank you for answering the phone, because that would have been truly embarrassing if I was trying to call you like, oh, look at my celebrity friend, and he doesn't answer the phone. Oh,
I've been in the bathroom or something. Let's start off with how you're powering the food truck. Because some people who've been following this may assume like, oh, well, I know Chris has a Ford Lightning electric vehicle. Is he using that to power the food truck? And you are not. What are you using?
So I use a mixture of things. And this was one of the things I've noticed that a lot of food trucks don't have down. They just grab their generator and that's it. And I see them running multiple gas generators. And I'm able to actually power. I can power off the truck. And in some instances, it's okay. Like if I'm smoking something overnight, I'll plug the trailer into the truck and nice and quiet evening with lots of power for the trailer. But that's not viable for every job, during the day. Sometimes, if it's close, I can do it. But I have a job that's like 40 miles away. So you already cut the mileage range in half, and then to run off the truck for a couple hours and then try to drive back, you're cutting it really close. So it's not always conducive to run off of that. But the main time it's not conducive is when I'm not using the trailer, and, because I like to sleep. And so I have a refrigerator that I keep full of food that I need to keep running. And the solution that I found to do that, to keep that thing running, is the Anker Solix F3800. This is probably one of the most expensive pieces that I've purchased, but the thing that I rely on almost 100% of the time, because it literally has just kept the refrigerator running when I don't have access to power. Because one of the things, like if you rent a space for your trailer, you usually have an option. You can rent a space that has no power, or you can rent a space that has power. And to be honest with you, the space for power is double the cost of the space with no power.
Is that because they don't charge you for the power, and so they just try to build
it's
that
done unlimited, but they just charge double for the space. And so for me, it really allows me to not have to pay that extra fee.
Yeah.
But yet have something reliable. And what I love about the F3800 is it connects to Wi-Fi, so it allows me to check on it remotely, make sure I got enough power. It'll send me an alert when it hits 5% and I need to do something different, So this thing has been great. It actually has a 50 amp outlet on it, so I could really just plug the whole trailer into it. I mean, it's not going to last forever, but it'll last a good little while if I need it to. But keeping my refrigerator running, at this point now, I've added solar panels to the top of my trailer, and it has a direct solar panel connection. So that allows me to get about 3 days out of this thing.
Oh, wow.
Without ever having to go to the trailer.
Is the trailer parked outside?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and if people didn't follow that, like the trailer isn't parked in front of Chris's house. He's got a place where he stores it. And that's outside. So the solar panels can keep charging the Solix.
That is
great.
correct.
How big is that thing? It seems like it's like mini fridge sized, the Anker.
Yeah. So it's about the size of a mini fridge. That's probably the best description of it. Plus I have a secondary battery hooked up to it, because you can expand it to like 6 additional batteries.
Okay.
It's expensive. I will definitely say that again. It's expensive, but for people just looking for a quick backup solution, for their house, I mean, you have the opportunity to expand it out and do like a transfer switch in your house and use this thing to power your house for a little while.
Nice. Or
your main components. All those options are available to you. I just love this thing because I rely on it so much. And it's actually done the job. It's not all perfect. There is one limitation that I wish they didn't add, and that is around the amperage that goes into the solar panel connector. So if you use their portable panels that you can buy from them, you can get up to 2,400 watts into the charger. So it's rated to take 2,400 watts from solar, which would charge this thing in like 2 hours. However, when you use regular solar panels, they actually come in a bit higher. So you would never be able to hit that 2400 using other panels. So that I think is kind of
so
a
it
bummer.
charges slower with the other panels. Is that the end result?
Yeah, well, you just can't give it enough. So if I installed 800 watts worth of panels on my trailer.
It charges the same as, but it just can't go as fast as the panels.
You can't go as high.
I see.
Because it's too much.
Gotcha.
So, and 800 is enough. It's enough. And I wasn't looking to completely recharge the battery. I just wanted to extend it. Mm-hmm. And I installed it in the wintertime. So that was kind of gives me a good look to see what the panels are looking like. And it would run at like 200, 250. But right now I'm getting like 450 to 500 watts in. So that's really, really good because my refrigerator only uses like 35 watts.
Real quickly, because we only have a few minutes today. Wireless probes is another piece of tech that you've got since the last time we talked about.
So I never felt that I would benefit from wireless probes at the commercial level, especially having used meters. The battery recharge on the meters are super slow, but there's a company called Fireboard that have come out with a new set of wireless probes. They have the same function as meters, which is to give you ambient temperature around the meat, which is important. And then it also gives you the temperature of the meat. But the one feature that I love about this is that the little case that it sits in, you can plug a USB cord into it to charge it. It will charge in 15 minutes. And then away you go. The meters take forever to charge. This thing charges in 15 minutes. And the other thing that I like is that it doesn't matter how many of these little probes you have. You can stack the chargers on top of each other, but you only need to plug in one. And then once you stack them, each one you stack starts to charge off the same USB port. Those two features alone make this thing super awesome. Their tech support is really good. And so if folks are out there looking for like the next best wireless probe, the ones that can last you a good long time, you definitely want to check out these Fireboards, man. They are really, really good. Okay, so how much are these things going to set you back? They're about 130 each. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, so they're not terrible. No. Yeah. They run on Bluetooth. Now, if you buy the controller gives you an additional option, and that's one of the things that uses the S1G connectivity. So it can connect via Bluetooth, or you can send it to a controller. The controllers are a little bit more expensive. They're like $350, but you only need one controller, and one controller can take up to 32 probes. And this is so you can monitor things when you're smoking it and you're not in the trailer, not so much when you're doing service, right? Yeah. So sometimes I'll park my trailer at my commissary kitchen and I'll go home. Okay. Yeah. And I'm still, checking the temps and, looking to see when it's time to wrap the briskets or wrap the ribs or something like that. So remote access is still extremely important to me. Well, I think we're going to do a second part of the interview because you have some technology that has not worked as well. So folks, stick around and come back for part two when you find out what stuff has been the fails for Chris. But Chris, thank you for joining me, man. If folks want to find out not just about the podcast, but the food truck too, especially if they're out in the Washington, D.C. area, where should they go? Yeah, definitely. You can check us out, barbecueandtech.com. But if you just want to see some pictures of the food that we're putting out or some of the events, check us out on Instagram and Facebook. We post a good amount of pictures on there from the truck. Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Thank you. You can join in the conversation in our Discord, which you can join by linking to a Patreon account at patreon.com/DTNS.
All right, and finally, we end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Mike is helping us understand. All right. Hello, DTNS crew, says Mike. I really feel like the mark was missed on yesterday's briefing show talking about Microsoft's removing a loophole to set up Windows 11 without a Microsoft account. Despite not liking it yourselves, it was brushed off as, quote, well, I understand why they are doing it, and the discussion was dropped in seemingly accepting the bogus security claim. There is absolutely no security problem with allowing people to use Windows with a local account. The
This is a big fat lie that Microsoft claims. This move has to do with control and invasion of privacy. Microsoft needs to be put through the ringer to be forced to accept the fact that if the owner of a computer simply does not want to sign into a Microsoft account, that it is a good enough reason to not use one, and they must respect the computer owner, period. Thank you, from Mike.
Yeah, Mike, thank you for writing in on this. So it gives me a chance to kind of clarify it, like my own personal feeling on this versus, because sometimes when we're reading the news, we're kind of focusing a little bit more on like, what is the fact? What is Microsoft's intention? Something like that. My intention was not to say yesterday that I understand and agree with what Microsoft is doing here. I understand why a company like Microsoft might want to do this, right? Microsoft's not alone in this. Many companies have some sort of like login requirement because at the end of the day, as a company, there are so many benefits for them to have their users logged in. I understand as a company why Microsoft might want that. But as you stated in your email, many of those benefits, they are for the company. They're not for the user. Many of them, I would agree, are downright hostile to users. And, I don't agree with Microsoft requiring this. I probably could have done a better job of illustrating or stating that yesterday. But I get on a company level, like if I can understand why companies end up there, I suppose, even though I don't agree with it. And I appreciate you pointing this out. So I can have an opportunity to state, my feelings on this. What do you think about this, Shannon? Do you have opinions?
Honestly, I'm glad I heard about this because I am one of those people that uses that loophole on every single Windows 11 computer that I have. And it irritates me to no end that I have to sign into a Microsoft account just to boot in, log in, and access my computer on a local computer too. It's not great, especially if you have something that is air gapped, like an air gap PC, and you have to sign in first in order to set it up. I really don't like that. And it's one of the reasons why, I still have a Linux computer that I can use as an option, an alternative. So yes, Mike, I do agree with you. It's incredibly irritating, but I do understand that when it comes to media, a lot of us take a perspective of trying to understand both sides. And in this case, Microsoft, I also understand why a business would choose this. But thanks, I hate it.
But thanks, I hate it. Yeah. I would probably have, I realize now, as I'm listening to you talk, like you are using these systems, like I don't really interact with Microsoft Windows very often in my day-to-day life, like hardly at all. So so I recognize that maybe my lack of kind of rage around this is driven from the fact that like this doesn't impact me directly or hasn't for me to have that lived like felt sense when I read this story to go immediately like, oh, I felt the impact of this directly. And I can tell you right now, I hate it. You know what I mean? I dislike the idea of it, but I don't have that immediate reaction because I guess I'm outside of the Microsoft thing a little bit. So that's an awareness piece for me. So thank you, Mike, for sending that in. Thank you to Chris for talking a little bit earlier in the show and for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. The show is made possible by our patrons on patreon.com/DTNS. DTNS has a live version called DTNS Live on YouTube and Twitch. You can find details on that and more on dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.